my parents were not approving of me, like going into league, being a pro player. So when they found out that I had basically terrible grades, they started like treating me a lot more harshly. Obviously, in Asian culture, it's like if you don't have good grades, you're seen as like the trash. Like, and I mean that like literally, because a lot of comparisons, right? It's all about social status and hierarchy and that kind of things. Okay, well, obviously in esports, I'm Kasing. I've obviously played for more than 10 years, probably around 12, 13 years competitively. And obviously, I'm a support main. I've played, and at Worlds of HDK, I've played in NLC with multiple names like, Excel, or who are now GX. I've played with, obviously, Splice. I'm just thinking the top of my head right now. Vitality. I've obviously I've been around a lot, if anything. A lot of rosters, a lot of different players, like some players who are obviously retired now, some who are still obviously 17 years old, I grew up in London. My childhood was honestly, it's kind of the usual, Asian kind of childhood, right? Where you're basically forced to kind of, I say forced, but rather encouraged to pick up other skills such as playing piano in my instance, or, going to school with the intention that you're going to become a doctor or something.
When you look at the beginning of this, is that a way for you to describe how you got into playing computer and then League of Legends?
Actually, I started playing Dota. That was my first experience when I played Warcraft 3. I played a lot of Warcraft 3 custom maps, back then. This was like 7 years old, 8 years old back then.
Yeah.
And yeah, so basically I just started Dota. And then at one point, I think I played Dota for like maybe 5 years since I was like 7. So it's from 7 to like 12. I was playing this video game. Everyone else in school and stuff were playing like, it was the usual, playing COD and these kind of normal games.
So what was your first moment of realization that esports could be more than a hobby?
I think it was the day that I felt like I was just watching a stream. This was like long ago. I think it was SK. I just remember seeing Ocelot, who like won, I think it was like an IEM or something. And I was like, you know what? These people are basically getting paid to play a game, right? Because technically they were pro players. So for me, I was thinking, you know what? If I could do that, that would sound cool. Because it's different, right? And don't get me wrong, I was obviously on a path to basically finishing school, finishing college, finishing uni, and then going into something like computer science or whatever. But at one point it was kind of like, what if I can skip the whole going to uni part, If I can just get a job, that's the whole end goal, right? After uni, you want to get a job, that's the whole point. So I was just kind of like putting my full commitment on, you know what? I think if I want to make it work, I got to put all my energy, right, and time into it. And yeah, after I basically, the phrase of, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
I remember at the time I played like a lot of online tournaments, right? I think back then there was something called, I'm trying to remember what the website was called, but basically Go for Law and stuff. Sorry, that was the one, yes.
Go for Law, yeah.
Yes, there was that. And then there was one like EPS or something in Cologne back then. That was my first experience ever traveling like abroad to another country, because I never traveled before, right? And I traveled alone. And for me, it was kind of like a weird experience, because, I had no clue. I felt like I nearly missed my flight. I nearly, there were so many things that kind of nearly went wrong, but didn't. But obviously just first time experience. But yeah, it was just basically like, for me, I felt like the fact that I'm able to fly somewhere, play my game, and come back. After I did it once, I realized, this actually seems kind of fun. This is not an experience that you just, be like, I just went on holiday and that's all. So for me, it was kind of like I wanted to keep repeating, keep striving for more.
What sacrifices have you made to reach this level of play?
It's kind of a mix, right? Because I have two things in my mind actually. One was actually my my college grades. I went from being someone that I didn't have to revise to get high grades. For someone like me, school was nothing special for me. I didn't find it exciting or whatever. It was just go in, do your job, get out, kind of thing. But my predicted A levels at the time was around like A star and A's. And then obviously because I kind of didn't attend some certain exams, so therefore I ended up like U's, for example, in my A2. This is when I started, I felt regret in the moment that I got those grades, because like that's obviously not who I am. I'm not someone that is a bot. I'm not a robot. So like I know how to get good grades, but because I focused so much on league, it made me realize actually at one point, because obviously my parents were not approving of me like going into league, being a pro player. So when they found out that I had basically terrible grades, they started like treating me a lot more harshly. Obviously in Asian culture, it's like if you don't have good grades, you're seen as like the trash. Like, and I mean that like literally, because a lot of comparisons, right? It's all about social status and hierarchy and that kind of things. But for me, it's kind of like, I just wanted to prove them wrong kind of thing, right? I don't care what other people think. I only care about what my own family kind of thing. But yeah, it was rough. I say regret because it's like, it's not like I regret being a pro player. It was just a regret that maybe I should have, actually just done my shit in school. But maybe if I had done that, maybe my chance to go at least LCS, EU LCS back then would not be there. It's all about timing, right? In league, you could be the best version of yourself, but maybe the timing isn't right. You could be the best support in the world, but actually there's no slots for supports anymore because all the other best supports are there. But then another situation is you could be just good at that right one moment where there's a slot opening for you. It's like, you found it.
Was that a specific match that defined your career? Yeah, as well.
I mean, there was like not just one play, there was many plays, because obviously I was known for my fresh back then. And I remember this one time I remember when I rewatched it, I was like, I actually hit so many hooks, like in a row, and I remember, I don't know, I just felt like, when I look back, I don't recognize that's me, It's kind of weird, right? Because obviously I've been playing for a long while. I've played so many competitive matches that it's all one big blur. But the one thing that comes into my mind, I remember I think I was playing with, I think it was H2K. It was with Hyun actually. There's one play that we basically turned the game around as us two, because we just smurfed so hard that a game that was completely lost became completely won. And I don't remember exactly which game, but I have to probably go for a lot of buzz because, I just don't remember. There's one moment, but yeah, that was when I felt like, this is what it really means to be at the peak of esports.
What has been the hardest loss or hardest break in your career?
I think when we lost to G2 when I was in Splice, it will always kind of haunt me to this day, where actually we were against Hyun actually, funny enough. I was with Kobe, and I remember that I don't know, the one thing that just keeps ringing in my mind, I remember saying we should ban Heimer, because obviously Hyun's Heimer obviously was a thing, right? Back then, you guys all know about this Heimerdinger meta. He made all the Chinese and Korean AD carries play the Heimerdinger as well, which is respectable. But I just wondered if we had banned Heimer, would we have gone to Worlds, because it was 2-2. Yeah, basically we were like one game away. And for me, it's kind of like that will always be something that it's annoying, but it's one of those moments that, what if we had banned Heimer? Maybe we would have lost anyway, right? Don't get me wrong. But that was the gut feeling that I had, and usually, one thing I can tell you right now is like in esports, whenever you have a gut feeling, you should definitely follow it. That's one of the most important things that I feel like matters for me. Like my gut feeling, honestly, even this split right now with Bulldogs, my gut feeling was to go with this roster.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I can see it work, Even if not everything is explained, I don't know what the answers to every single thing. I'm not even in control of a lot of the things, right? But it's just one of those feelings that you just have and you just know will work out in order to, I guess, be where we are today. Like, I'm not gonna lie, if I was to be more of a realist, my expectation for this roster, probably, top 4? Like, max. So the fact that we've even reached first third place, obviously, and obviously aiming for second and first. I'm obviously very, very proud, obviously, from what we've done, but I already had like a feeling of how everything would go. But obviously I'm not here to glaze myself or anything. It's just, I had my own gut feeling and I followed it through.
I see. So, do you still have that competitive fire?
Well, if I did not, I would not be here today doing this interview.
Love it. What is the biggest mental battle in esports?
I think when people look at me, I'm a happy guy in general, right? But, and I say this with a big B, but when there's a lot of criticism over the past years about players like myself who are more mature, veterans, you know, older generation players who have been playing way too long and should just be retired or just too washed up or whatever. Sometimes it's like, I've obviously developed a lot of thick skin throughout this century. That's how it feels to me anyway. I say century because I'm just memeing myself at this point. But it's just, sometimes it's kind of like, when I think about it realistically, you don't just develop rookies just from thin air. Rookies don't just have one coach and that's all. The rest, everything, the coach will do everything. What's the point of veterans? They don't have hands, they don't have this, but it's like, you can't have a world where you can't coexist without veterans. Does that make sense? I feel like rookies need veterans as much as veterans need rookies. Whereas people don't see it that way. And that's the part that has always kind of bugged me, right? Because honestly, a lot of the time nowadays, it's just, guys, let's just, if we want to scout players, just go low pros, look for the first, you know, player you see that's highest elo. Okay, that's a rookie. That's the guy we're betting our entire split on. And don't get me wrong, maybe some of them do turn out good. You know, EXO, for example, has been pretty good. But the difference that I feel like that people are missing out on is just, I feel like being an older player has its own merits and values that should also be kind of like understood, not just misunderstood that we're just here to, you know, play the job and get out. Because if you look at my own team right now, also with Bulldog, sorry, we're not here to just, you know, just play and just leave, you know. I feel like one of the most important things about teams is developing. The developing process isn't just, I'm gonna teach my teammate how to play, or not my teammate, but my AD carry or my rookies, whatever, just one concept a day and that's all. Because it's all about like a developmental thing, right? There's a lot more things to League than just League, you know? Being a nice person, being an understanding person, understanding, you know, how they are, not just in League, but out of League, is also a part of the process, right?
Yeah.
And in order to develop a better, like, I guess, a better friendship, this will help you play better in game actually, because you understand each other more. You can see the same angles and just these kind of things. This is not something that you can teach, because this comes with, you know, just being a nice person. And some people will say, you know what, I'm a nice person, but I still get into the 0-10 in solo queue. Like, that's not the point I'm making here. The only thing that I want to say is just, there's obviously been a lot of negativity over the years in regards to everything, right? It's not about, oh, how good is that team? It's about, oh, how bad is that team that just lost? And I feel like that's just kind of been missing over the years. Because it's just kind of skewed around, right? Everyone cares more about the drama, cares more about the content, you know, that comes with, you know, it's much easier, right, to make something a big deal if it's about flaming, if it's about toxicity. I think trying to normalize toxicity is one thing, but this is not how you develop rookies. This is not how you develop the scene. And I think that's just my point, my perspective.
What does it feel at the end of the game when you see victory? What does it mean to you?
I'll give you one recent thing. When I watched, when I rewatched our game versus Verdun in our last, the fourth place basically match, or to qualify by here basically for Nottingham. I remember in game when after we killed like the last guy in the team fight, I remember I was like, we were about to end soon. And then, I don't know, part of me when I just saw it was kind of like a huge relief is a better way to put it. And I've been playing for like 12 plus years, right? Even seeing a victory screen nowadays, it's like, it's not the same kind of victory as like solo queue. If you see a winning victory, it's whatever. It's not that big of a deal, but in those moments where you've basically been under a lot of, not pressure or stress or whatever, it's just, you've been through a lot. The fact that you have to, for me anyway, personally, I have to do a lot of thinking, right? Because as the veteran, then I guess I still have to do my job as well. But it's just the whole, like, the feeling of relief and understanding that, you know what, it paid off, finally. It's not like the other years where I can work as hard as I can have 4 accounts challenge at 1 KLP, and I'll still lose because of the fact that it's a team game in the end. And I just feel like I've developed a lot in that regard. Not just as a young individual player or whatever, but as a person.
How do you want to be remembered in esports?
I mean, look, I'm just the type of person that I'm very blunt in general, okay? You can ask all my past teammates, you can ask my actual friends, if I have some. But I just like to keep it real, okay? Like, if something obviously feels shit, it probably is shit. And if something, how do I say it? If it's good, I'll call it. It's fine, it's good play or whatever. But the one thing that I would love to be remembered by is just, you know what? At least, I would like to be someone that has definitely helped, what's the word? Being someone that's remembered that has helped pave the path for esports as well. I feel like I've been in this scene for too long, like since the grassroots of esports, literally at the beginning, that I can't just, some people have even like asked me, what's next after playing and stuff. But for me, it's like, I feel like I want to pass on a lot more knowledge that I know that only, like, this is very unique, right? Esports hasn't actually been out for so long that someone like me, I believe no one can ever tell me that they have the same experience as me, And I think that's the most unique part about myself. And I understood that I understand my own value in terms of, who I am. And this is kind of what I want to do is, like, in the future, if my hands actually, I decide, I'm actually getting gapped every game and my hands just don't work, or I'm just playing too bad and I want to call it a break or take a quit, whatever, then yeah, I want to remember someone that will be still paving the path for esports. The feeling of relief and understanding that, it paid off, finally. It's not like the other years where I can work as hard as I can have 4 accounts challenge at 1 KLP, and I'll still lose because of the fact that it's a team game in the end. And I just feel like I've developed a lot in that regard, not just as a young individual player or whatever, but as a person.
How different is it playing now compared to your prime?
The thing is, okay, I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes there are mechanical plays that I know I would do if I was like super like how do I say it? I'm a bit of a gambler, okay? If there's a 5% chance play, back then I will take that play back then. I'll make that 5 or 50%. Now, because I've gotten a bit more smarter, okay? I'm not dumb anymore like my old Kasing. Right? I actually think about the map, I think about the bigger picture, I actually use my brain now, so I'll be telling that younger Kasing, what the fuck are you doing, like kind of thing. Stop fucking griefing, grief your temple just to make a flashy montage. You know what I mean? That's basically who I am now. But obviously, there are certain things that I see in EXO that I've seen from myself even. When he's willing to, like, a play that he did even against Verdance, right? I don't know if I spoke to you about it, but it was basically the one where he just Kaiser W'd and then Kaiser RW'd in. Like, the mechanics to one shot basically in AD carry, right? Because, it's what you should do, right, as Kaiser. But the fact that he didn't say anything, but he just went through it, that shows me a lot of, like, confidence in players like EXO. Because the fact that he is willing to do that, that's something that I would do even, Because of the fact that, what? If you don't believe in yourself here, but that's your role, that's your job, right? If you don't believe in yourself in doing that, why are you playing in the end? No one plays to just be a passenger. I hate passengers. I don't like the whole notion that someone plays a game and just has to sit in the back line and just press a few buttons and that's all. I feel like if you want to actually make a difference, you have a mouth, you can use it. You have hands, you can use them too, And then this is one of the things that I felt like, from what I see from EXO, I kind of like reignited some kind of like fire in me a bit, I said reignited as if it wasn't there, but there was fire, guys. Maybe added some oil.
And still
the thing is, he played the situation honestly like as perfect as he could, because he got the engage, he got what he wanted. But that's the thing, right? If you was to ask that from even an AD carry that's played for pro player for a while, he would have been like, never. Doesn't make sense. Like, that's why for me, you know, that's the type of difference that I wanted to see in esports. I don't feel like we should have stagnated. If anything, everything's going, you know, improving at like a really good rate. But this is like only in the case that we're actually trying to help each other, trying to actually, you know, bridge on that. Then we can get to.
Who is Kasing?
I think Kasing to me is someone that has always been passionate about what he says, has kept true to his word in terms of what he will say, what he will do, and what he will provide. And there's no way that Kasing's the type of guy that will just not follow through with what he says.
Are you proud of Kasing?
Honestly, yeah, I couldn't be more proud of.
That was good. That was good. Being one of these, I really appreciate it. Thank you. I'm happy I'm doing these, by the way.